Hey everyone, in front of the camera here, I have the LionSteel SR-22 in the aluminum handle version. It also comes in a titanium version for a much higher price. But the SR-22 is a follow-up from LionSteel's SR-11 in 2017, which won, I think, Blade Show's overall Knife of the Year in 2017. So the SR-22 is just a scaled down version of the SR-11. Very similar to the idea that the SR-11 is the second generation of the SR-1. This would be the second generation of the SR-2. So let's get into some of the more details of this knife. So we have about a 3-inch blade. On the website it's marked at 3.06, so slightly over 3 inches. This is of Sleipner steel, which LionSteel uses for quite a bit of their folders. SR series, using the LionSteel Kerr. So there you go, Sleipner steel, LionSteel Italy, and then Moletta on the locking side. And Moletta, I can't remember his actual name, but that's what he puts on the blades when he designs them. There you go. Single piece of aluminum integral handle, so besides the hardware for the pivot, stop pin, pocket clip, stainless steel insert, and LionSteel's rotolock, this is just one solid piece of aluminum. And if it was a titanium version, just be the titanium. So if you're familiar with LionSteel's integral series, there you go. But of course this is on ball bearings versus what the original SR series is, which I have the SR-1 to compare. This was thumb studs on nylon washers, yeah, not phosphor bronze. So there's a comparison between the SR-2 and SR-22, both in red aluminum. The pattern was changed in the aluminum handle, and it seems like this is a little bit brighter red. But as you can tell, the pivot hardware, pocket clips are pretty much identical. Overall, the design is very similar. Just some slight changes. One thing that did change was the glass breaker on the end here. It's a little bit higher. It also has a carbide tip now. So this isn't very pokey at all. This actually does feel kind of sharp. So that's a difference. They're not exactly the same. Now they had a kind of proprietary wrench they would supply with this. They also supply a wrench, but this is more of a hexagonal shape. So if you have the tool from the SR-2, it won't actually take off the glass breaker from the SR-22. Just kind of a little interesting side note there. So again, they're very, very similar in design, but this is a much more improved. I originally didn't go for the SR-11 because of the size. I like this kind of 3-inch blade a little bit better, and the SR-11 was also wider, just like the SR-1. So this is a lot more pocketable, a lot better for EDC. Flipping action is really good. Just like I've seen videos on the SR-11, the SR-22, if you disengage the lock bar and push it out to where the flipper hits your thumb, it has past the detent ball, so you can just have it. It doesn't quite drop shut, but it also works left-handed that way. Disengage it, get it to where the flipper hits your finger. It's already past the detent ball. So very good design there. The flipper is very simple, no jimping or anything. There's no jimping on the SR-22. There was slight jimping on the blade of the SR-2. Works. Push button works not as well as a light switch on this one. Yeah, it does. There it goes. Definitely works better for me with a push button. Again, you can, if you're left-handed, you can disengage this. So it does work well. Overall, I'm impressed. This was really well done. I'm glad I held out to wait to see if they came out with a smaller version of the SR-11, because this is definitely more of what I was looking for, the SR-11. When I saw some first impressions videos, just realized that was way too big. Some other size comparisons. Let's see, LionSteel, TRE, and G10. It's going to be a little bit smaller because that's a sub 3-inch blade. They'll give you an idea. One thing that I found interesting is, so LionSteel has this little logo they put on for their ball bearing pivot models right there, and I believe it was on the SR-11, but it's not anywhere to be found on the blade or handle of this. Now it does have a ball bearing pivot, and you can tell just by how smooth that is. I just find it interesting that in this particular model they didn't put any indication that it has that ball bearing pivot. Another size comparison, Benchmade mini grip. Again, mini grip's going to be a little bit smaller, sub 3-inch blade. So definitely a lot more compact than that SR-11 though. Of course, between the SR-2 and SR-22, you do have a slightly different blade shape, because you have this wedge here. So it's a little different. I actually prefer the SR-22 blade shape. I think it's just overall, I really like this knife when I got it, but I think that this is a just huge improvement on the SR series. And so let's talk about price. I got this one from GP Knives. I'd recommend that you get it from GP Knives because that's the lowest price I saw. I got it for $144.50. Other retailers I saw were selling it for closer to $160. So this one was the cheap. So GP Knives had it for the lowest price, so I would recommend going there if you're interested in it. Just as a reference, the SR-22s in titanium on GP Knives were $272. So yeah, significantly more expensive, but again, that's going to be all titanium, and because that's, you know, these are integral knives, single piece of titanium is, to mill that all out is kind of expensive. So, but you do get a lighter weight on the aluminum version. Let's take this scale out here real quick. 3.59 ounces. Sounds about right from what I saw on the website. So it's not very heavy. It's not the lightest knife, but because of that aluminum, it is not extremely heavy. The website for the titanium says it comes in at 4.6 ounces. So yeah, you're getting a slightly heavier knife with the titanium, but that's understandable. Compared to the old SR-2, which actually feels heavier, let's see, 3.7 ounces, so it is slightly heavier, which is what I kind of suspected when picking it up. So I think that's partly due to the blade stock thickness. As you can see here, because I have that cut swedge, you overall don't have as thick of a stock up here, and also because of that swedge, it reduces some of the thickness of the blade. So overall, again, improvements that were made to these new SRs. I just really like this. The flipping action is really nice. You do have to kind of shake it down there because this blade isn't very heavy. So good job, LionSteel. Put a link down to GP Knives down in the description, because that, I think, is the lowest price I saw these selling for, and it got here pretty quick. like 3 days, I think. So there you go, LionSteel SR-22. Overall, this is a great knife. I think LionSteel has something planned for Blade Show, so I don't think this is going to win Knife of the Year, but they have some really strange pocket clip system, I think, they're working on, so maybe they're trying to get Knife of the Year at Blade Show again, coming here in about a week. So that's all for this one. So again, LionSteel SR-22, definitely recommended if you'd like the LionSteel SR-2 series, but you wanted something a little different. You wanted a flipper, you wanted ball bearings, a little bit lighter weight. This is the way to go. So that's all for this one. Leave any questions or comments down below. As always, thanks for watching.